In engineering physics, we are discussing atomic structure. In that discussion in the last session, we looked at understanding the Bohr's model of an atom and also tried to understand the certain disadvantages and drawbacks in the system. Like Bohr's model failed to explain the spectra of heavier elements, and also it could not explain the fine structure of subgroup of spectral lines, and the failure of Bohr's model in explaining Giemann effect. And also because Bohr's model is presuming that electrons are revolving around stationary orbits, which is not satisfying the dual nature of electrons. And also the well-defined stationary circular orbit concept proposed by Bohr cannot exist. Such type of drawbacks were discussed in the last session. Because of these reasons, we tried to understand that Bohr's model combined with both the particle and wave nature of electrons, which was further elaborated by other scientists like de Broglie, Heisenberg, Pauli, Schrödinger, Sommerfeld, etc. And also we concluded that the result of combining these theories in detail and formulating a mathematical process led to the concept of something what is known as quantum numbers and quantum mechanics. Now we shall try to understand the concept of quantum numbers now. Now when you talk about quantum numbers, these are the numbers that will describe the state of an electron in an atom. Quantum number basic purpose is to describe the state of electron in the atom. There are basically 4 quantum numbers. The first one we all know that it is a principal quantum number represented as n. Now this particular principal quantum number basically corresponds to the Bohr's orbit, and it can assume integer values like 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. up to n, referred to as shells. The shells are denoted as K, L, M, N. Like for n equal to 1 it is K, for n equal to 2 it is L, for n is equal to 3 it is M, and so on and so forth. This is about the principal quantum number, which we are familiar at even at a high school level also. Now when it comes to the second quantum number, what you studied something like an azimuthal quantum number. In fact, it is named as orbital quantum number, represented by the alphabet L. The orbital quantum number basically talks about angular momentum. In one of the postulates, we have seen that the angular momentum of an electron is quantized in the orbit. The angular momentum of an electron represented by L, it is given by the equation given here as square root of L into L plus 1 into h upon 2 pi. If you simplify h upon 2 pi as h cut, you can write it as square root of L into L plus 1 h cut, where L can take the values of 0, 1, 2, 3, etc. up to n minus 1. And therefore it is called orbital quantum number. It can have a total of n values ranging from 0 to n minus 1. These two can be measured directly as numerical values, both principal quantum number as well as orbital quantum number. The other 2 more quantum numbers which we know are something known as magnetic quantum number and spin quantum number. Now this magnetic quantum number represented as m suffix L. Now basically it has an interesting features to be understood with respect to magnetic quantum number. Now when you are talking about components in a 3-dimensional axis for the orbital motion, the z component of angular momentum can be expressed as Lz. If it is xy, x it is Lx, if it is y it is Ly. It is on z axis we are considering, therefore it is Lz. that is given as ml into h upon 2 pi. H upon 2 pi you can write as h cut, therefore it becomes ml h cut. This ml, that is magnetic quantum number, it can take values from 0 to plus or minus L, that is minus L minus 1 minus L minus 2 etc 0, and again 0, 1, minus 1, minus 2, minus 3 etc up to L minus 1. That means the range is from 0 to plus or minus L. Similarly, when you look at spin quantum number, now this is basically, it is an intrinsic angular momentum of an electron. So therefore the intrinsic angular momentum of an electron is what is known as electron spin, represented as ms, m suffix s, spin quantum representation. And the spin can be represented as s equal to square root of 1 by 2 into 1 by 2 plus L, 1 by 2 plus 1 into h upon 2 pi. You can, jet component of spin can be simplified as ms h upon 2 pi. This ms, spin quantum number, can have two values, either plus half or minus half, which we know. Therefore, only two possible values of ms are plus half and minus half, which are two spin states of an electron. So when you consider in total all the four quantum numbers, like principal quantum number represented as n, orbital quantum number represented as L, magnetic quantum number represented as m or ml, and spin quantum number represented as ms, they must be defined properly to identify the electron in an atom. So basically they help us to arrive at the distribution of electrons in the suborbitals. So for instance, we will take 2, 3 principal quantum numbers like n equal to 1, 2 or 3, and let us see what are the values that can correspond to the other quanta. Suppose if you take the first orbit, that means principal quantum number equal to 1. First orbit is named as K shell, and the corresponding orbital quantum number L value will be 0. That means it can only have one subshell represented as S. And its magnetic quantum number is also, that is ml value is also 0. But when it takes to spin, it can have plus 1 or minus 1, minus half plus half. Spin quantum number will be ms value. Therefore, it can have only 2 electrons. Similarly, if you take second orbit, let us understand the quantas of second orbit. The second orbit n equal to 2, principal quantum number. That means it will have, it is L shell. So therefore, you will have 8 electrons. How they have come? The orbital quantum number L value will be, principal quantum number will be 8 electrons. That means each one will have its own spin basically. That means orbital quantum number values, L values vary from 0 to plus 1. That means 0, 0, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. That means you can have 2 suborbitals. S you will have as well as p orbital you will have. P will have px, py, pz. We know that. Each one will have 2. Px, py, pz means p will have 6 orbitals. And s will have 2 electrons. Therefore, s will have 2. So total 8. So the spin could be naturally plus half, minus half, plus half, minus half, and so on. So therefore, in total you will have 8 electrons. Similarly, this is not new, because this is not something new which we are learning at a higher level of physics. This already we know at high school level. I am just recapping that. Similarly, if you take this concept, you learned as electronic configuration straight away at high school level. But here we are learning the same thing in a different way. Third orbit you take, which is the M shell, where principal quantum number is 3. Then automatically you will have 18 electrons. Because apart from S and P, you will also have D. D will have 10. D means 5 orbitals will be there. So therefore, each into 2, 10 electrons. Already S will have 2 and P will have 3. So 2 plus 6 plus 8, 2 plus 6 plus 10, it is 18. That means principal quantum number value will be 3, and orbital quantum number, each one will have 2 electrons. That is 2 each in S orbital, that is 1s and 2s. And P will have 2 each, 2px, 2py, 2pz, and then d. So altogether you will have 18 electrons. Like that distribution takes place as far as quantum number is concerned. That means they basically define properly to identify electron in an atom. Now based on this, let us understand a very interesting phenomenon what we studied, what is known as Zeeman effect. Now, what is Zeeman effect? It is a magneto-optical phenomenon. Magneto-optical, that means there is an effect of magnetism as well as optical means light, radiation. Effect of magnetism on the radiation of light that is being emitted or energy that is being emitted. So being a magneto-optical phenomenon, it was discovered by Zeeman in 1896. In his experiment, Zeeman observed the splitting of spectral lines into components when the source of light was placed in a strong magnetic field. When splitting is up to 3 lines, the phenomenon is what is known as normal Zeeman effect. The normal Zeeman effect can be quantitatively explained by classical theory of Lorentz. In some cases, the splitting of lines can be into more than 3 lines. When more than 3 lines occur as far as splitting is concerned, then it is called anomalous Zeeman effect. Now this cannot be explained by classical theory of magnetism. So the experimental observations like the Zeeman effect around 19th century beginning, that is around last years of 18th century, and also the Stern-Gerlach experiment conducted in 1922 provided some indirect support to the concept of angular momentum and spin of electrons. The theoretical concept was evolved later in order to explain the experimentally observed fine structure of the spectra. When a strong magnetic field is applied across the hydrogen atoms emitting radiations, then it was observed that few transitions of hydrogen spectra split into fine structural lines. So the splitting of lines, or what we call as fine structure, it can be explained only on the basis of interaction of external magnetic field and the magnetic dipole moment of electrons in various orbital states. So the transitions of electrons are naturally therefore governed by some set of rules, it seems. That was the observation of the scientists. So the electron transitions which are governed by set of rules for allowed and forbidden transitions are named as certain rules what are known as selection rules. So let us understand what are those selection rules. To describe the structure of as well as configuration of electrons in atoms, energy level diagrams showing electron transition from one level to other, generally they are used. So such diagrams are what are known as Grotarian diagram or term diagram. But the electron transitions among various energy levels are not always allowed. So these are governed by set of rules which are called as selection rules. These are rules that govern the change in the values of the 4 quantum numbers: principal, orbital, magnetic and spin quantum numbers. So for radiative transitions to take place, some of the selection rules are like this. For example, if you take principal quantum number change, n, delta n is the change. You can just call it as small delta n. If n is the principal quantum number, delta n is the change in quantum number. Then that is allowed only for values like 1, 2, 3. But when it comes to orbital quantum number or azimuthal quantum number, delta L, it can have allowed values only plus or minus 1. Similarly, for magnetic quantum number, it is plus or minus 1. There is no concept of plus or minus 1, etc. for change in spin quantum number. So in order to supplement these rules, some additional rules are formulated which help us to predict the intensity of the emitted lines. Those are called additional rules, like, so the lines for which the values of L and ML, that is orbital and magnetic quantum number, change by some amount, same amount or most intense. That means the emitted lines for which the values of both orbital and magnetic quantum number change by same amount, they are most intense. But these lines will become faint if the changes in L and ML are different. That means if the values of orbital and magnetic quantum number change is different, then they are faint. But the change in orbital and magnetic moment is same, then they are found to be more intense. Similarly, the transitions with opposite changes in the values of L and ML are not allowed. That means if there is one type of change in orbital moment and there is another type of change in magnetic moment, then that is not allowed. For example, if the change in delta L is +1, then change in magnetic moment is -1, or change in orbital moment is -1 and change in magnetic moment is +1. These type of lines are not, such type of lines are not emitted. This is what we need to understand about additional rules that are added to the selection rules already specified for being formulated to help us to predict the intensity of emitted lines. So before understanding the electron spin further, let us understand the spectroscopic notation of the orbitals in general. The orbits are shells corresponding to principal quantum numbers, that is n equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. They are designated as KLMN shells, which we have studied even at undergraduate level also. Whereas the orbitals corresponding to orbital quantum number L values 0, 1, 2, 3 up to n-1, they are represented as S, P, D of what we studied as suborbitals. The best way to remember, in fact, S for sharpness, P for principal, D for diffuse, and F for fundamental. For all the values of L which are greater than 3, the names are continued like G, H, I, J, etc. in that alphabetical order. Now let us quickly recap to conclude this process by recollecting some electron spin and the governing rules of electron distribution inside atom as Pauli's exclusion principle, Hund's rule and Aufbau principle. Before proceeding to that, let us look at electron spin. As told earlier, spin is an intrinsic property of an electron which has its experimental evidence in the fine structure of spectra, similar to quantized angular momentum. Spin S is given by the equation given here, S equal to square root of 1 by 2 into 1 by 2 plus 1 into h cut. H cut is of course h upon 2 pi. That simplified comes to around root 3 by 2 h cut. The fine structure we are talking about corresponds to two different values of S. One is plus 1 by 2 h cut, another is minus 1 by 2 h cut. Therefore, along the jet component, spin Sz is referred to as plus or minus 1 by 2 h cut. If you see the diagram given here, the fine structure of splitting of lines, that is due to magnetic moment of electron, can be shown like this. In one part it is root 3 by 2 h2, root 3 by h cut 2, plus and minus half. If this is plus, this is minus. This is splitting of electrons into quantized states. So therefore, due to the magnetic moment of electron, magnetic moment mu s can be given as like this, minus E by m into G into S. Now here, the G is called the gyromagnetic ratio and it has got two different values. This gyromagnetic ratio value will be approximately 2.0023 for electron spin and G will be approximately 1 for orbital magnetic moment, angular momentum. The gyromagnetic ratio value will be approximately 2.0023 for electron spin and G will be equal to 1 for orbital angular momentum. So on the basis of theory that electron change does not follow or does not flow only around the perimeter of the orbit, we can say that is the dependence on the gyromagnetic ratio. It can be explained that on the basis that the electron charge does not flow only around the perimeter of an orbit, then a unit of magnetic moment, which is represented as mu b Bohr magneton, we can define as h upon 2 pi into E by 2m. Then when substituted the values of all the standard constants and simplified, it comes to around 9.2732 into 10 power minus 24 joules per Tesla, or in terms of electron volts, it comes to around 5.788 into 10 power minus 5 electron volts per Tesla. Now let us look at Pauli's exclusion principle. At high school as well as undergraduate level, we looked at Pauli's exclusion principle as no two electrons will have all the four quantum numbers to be the same. That is the statement we studied. Let us elaborate that. That is, the principle states that for any two electrons in an atom, all quantum numbers cannot be the same. That means out of the four quantum numbers like n, l, ml and ms, that is principal, orbital, magnetic and spin quantum numbers, at least one must be different. In other words, all electrons in an atom lie in different quantum state, that means in different energy states. If, for example, if first three quantum numbers like principal, orbital and magnetic quantum numbers are same, then at least spin quantum number must be different. That is plus half for one electron and minus half for another electron. Now this principle seems to be similar to the classical concept that two particles cannot occupy the same coordinates in the space-time region. So the electrons in an energy state are represented with small arrows, one upward arrow and one downward arrow to indicate plus half and minus half respectively. So based on that, typical electronic configurations we have drawn in earlier classes, like hydrogen, you have got only one, therefore spin is shown like that in 1s. Helium, lithium, beryllium, boron. So this is spin configuration of subshells using Pauli's exclusion principles. Similarly, let us look at Aufbau principle. Now, when you look at Aufbau principle, the available electron energy levels of an atom are filled in the increasing order of subshell energy. That means an atom has its minimum energy in the normal or ground state. Therefore, this principle of called Aufbau principle is a rule which determines the order in which the electrons are added to different orbitals or subshells. According to this principle, the orbital with lower energy is filled first, irrespective of the shell to which it belongs. The lowest energy is to be filled first, and then the next higher energy, next higher energy, like that it starts. That's what basically Aufbau talks about. Now this can be understood in conjunction with something what is known as Hund's rule. In this we know, according to this rule, electron pairing shall not take place until all vacant subshells have at least one electron. That means that by taking Pauli's exclusion principle into consideration, Aufbau principle as well as Hund's rule, we will get the order of filling vacant subshells. That is the reason why we said in the beginning that these are the governing rules. Pauli's exclusion principle, Aufbau principle, Hund's rule. These are all the rules and principles based on which ultimately we will get electronic configuration. It tells the order in which the vacant subshells can be filled. This is what we are seeing. Even in lower class also we have seen this, what we call as a Moeller diagram. If you recollect your high school understanding of filling up of the electrons in all the suborbitals like 1s, 2s, 3s, etc., 2p, 3p, 4p, etc., 3d, 4d, etc., 5p, 4f, 5f, etc., 5d, etc. Now let us look at 2-3 samples to arrive at an understanding. For example, the typical application of this diagram, if you apply for such cases of carbon, nitrogen and oxygen, for example, carbon 6 you take, Now, how those are adjusted? 1s2, 2s2, 2p3, 2p2 in fact. That means 2px1 and 2py1. 2pz is not there. That means in case of carbon 6, each electron acquires 2p6 and 2py and not the two electrons pair in 2px. This is very important. These two electrons are not adjusted here spin. 3 are there. 2 plus 2, 4 are there. So remaining 2 cannot adjust in 2px. That means no 2 electrons pair in 2px is not taking place. This is in conformity with the Aufbau principle and Hund's rule. Similarly, if you take nitrogen, nitrogen is 1s2, 2s2, 2px1, 2py1, 2pz1. That means in the case of nitrogen, one electron each acquires a p shell. Similarly, you take oxygen, 8, 1s2, 2s2, 2px2, 2py1, 2pz1. That means in the case of oxygen also, the last electron is added to 2px subshell because all subshells of p shell are having one electron each. This is how this rule works. So if you summarize, let us understand the main points to be kept in mind in the entire discussion so far. What are the main points that are to be kept in mind as far as atomic structure is concerned? The Dalton's concept, Thomson's approach of plum pudding model of atom, which was not suitable or sustainable because it was unable to explain the spectral properties of atoms. Then Rutherford concept in 1911 suggesting nuclear model of atom through the alpha rate scattering experiment. And of course, this model having its own drawbacks like instability of atoms and inability to explain the line spectra. And the point to be remembered is the emission and absorption spectra of elements, and particularly that of hydrogen, led to Bohr to propound an orbital mode of atom which had stationary and non-radiating orbits assigned to the electrons of fixed energy, electron states of fixed energy, what is termed as stationary orbits. And also, when we look at the merits and demerits, Bohr model could explain the spectra of hydrogen and hydrogen-like atoms, but their fine structure could not be explained. And also, it understood that Bohr's model failed in the case of heavy elements, and its assumptions of stationary circular orbits was contrary to the de Broglie hypothesis. And therefore, Bohr model led to the concept of quantum numbers to explain the fine structures in observed spectra and to explain its behavior and strong magnetic field termed as G-Man effect. Similarly, the other thing we try to understand is the change in quantum numbers during the electron transition is governed by set of defined rules called selection rules. So the concept of electron spin was experimentally proved by Stern-Gerlach. And then the Pauli's exclusion principle, Aufbau principle and Hund's rule together provide guidelines for the order in which the subshells of main orbits are filled with required number of electrons. This is what we have seen as a basic idea to have an understanding of, elaborative understanding of atomic structure. So this total understanding and recapping of atomic structure help us to understand further in future about the concepts like radioactivity, interaction of radiation with matter and parts of nuclear physics that we shall take it up one after the other.